With the Milwaukee Bucks Summer League season coming to an end, we saw a lot of promise from young talent, and we saw a lot of underperforming from others. Now we wonder where they'll end up in the future as we move forward into the season. I'm Jake Finnerty, and welcome on into Bucks Digest. If you want to keep it locked on all things Milwaukee Bucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. But the Summer League is a fun time to see what we got with some of the young guys, some prospects, maybe some talent that shines through. Now, to start it off, of course, let's talk about the highlights of the Summer League. Of course, A.J. Johnson. A.J. Johnson was a guy who I had made multiple videos on already, saying, I don't know if he's it. Well, if you watched the last one, if you're watching this one right now, I could tell you, he's going to be the guy. He basically paved his way into getting an opportunity. And exactly as Doc Rivers said, if he plays well, he'll get the opportunity, he'll play. Well, he played well. He averaged 12 points a game, almost four rebounds a game, almost 3 assists a game, all on 33% shooting almost from beyond the arc and just in general. I think it was a very solid performance that we saw from Johnson. Some of those numbers could have been up, especially shooting percentage-wise, but it was a promising start. We saw the athleticism, we saw the playmaking, we saw everything we needed to, and truthfully, giving us a little bit of depth at that guard position. Truthfully, we didn't see a lot of him coming into the league and after the draft, and they were question marks. We knew that. We knew that there was a lot of, John Horst, what's going on? Well, let's tip our hats, give a little clap to John Horst, because he did it. He found a nice little star. He didn't take the easy route. He took the project. He did. But guess what? That project is looking to pan out pretty well in the future, and I hope in the near future. Because we're going to need it. Because we're really trying to figure out what to do with this depth. And one guy that kind of just hasn't been performing at all, this is year 2, year 3, that we've been waiting on him to, and that's Marjon Beauchamp. We've been waiting to see it from him. We haven't really gotten it yet. These are his stats from last year. But Beauchamp was instructed to play in the Summer League this year by Doc Rivers initially. Play those first 2 games, see how you perform. I thought from there he was going to have a very solid start to the Summer League, to have a shot on this roster. And then from there, it kind of just plummeted. You didn't see much from Beauchamp. And when you did, when he was taking the shots, he was open for shots and was missing them terribly, very offline. Not a lot of promise from Beauchamp, and we didn't see a lot of the skills shine through that we wanted to. So now the question remains, well, where's he going to end up? Because he's clearly not going to fit in on this depth chart if he can't perform. He's not going to do very well just overall on this team. And now that Johnson is taking up yet another roster spot because he proved himself, he deserves it, where is Beauchamp going to go? So, of course, my prediction is, let's get him traded. Let's try and get something from him. Maybe some other team sees promise in him. And on top of that, it gives me the fun task of finding these trades and creating these trades. So, outside of some of the previous trades I've done, including him, we're going to start it fresh. We're going to start it around that, but you'll see a common theme throughout all of these. So, we're going to start it with a pretty simple trade, one that I think I've basically already done before on this channel, but one that I think could get done because of the other teams that are involved, and that's with the Warriors. With the Warriors and the Jazz, actually, here, the Bucks ending up with Andrew Wiggins, getting the defense that they need, getting an athletic guy in Wiggins, a stretch guy, 6'7". He's got that length. The defense that he's going to bring. It's just a matter of the offense. But we've gotten a little bit more hefty on the offense now that we've got Gary Trent. You see the Jazz there getting Brook Lopez and Marjon Beauchamp. Brook Lopez is a name that we've heard and seen on the trade block for, it's been since the offseason that we've been hearing about this. I think there's a possibility that a deal gets done during the season. Potentially before the season begins, but if not, I think this is a route that can go. And this is really where I see this escalating, is the Warriors getting Lauri Markkanen. The Warriors have been reported on being all in on getting Markkanen and wanting him on their team. likely to replace Wiggins, likely to try and get him in there on a cheaper contract. Again, another stretch-ish guy, power forward, small forward, that can really do it all. Defensively, offensively, I think the Warriors get a good deal out of this, but I think this is kind of a good mix for all three of these teams. I would love to see Wiggins in Milwaukee in that green and cream, but, if this doesn't happen, there's a lot more options going around, because there's a couple more teams or specifically, there's one team that I think the Bucks may target in the sense of, well, this is a guy that they have that can fit well in Milwaukee, and that has been heard and talked about it being on the trade market. They've got a lot of cap space to work with, and that's the Orlando Magic. First off, Brook Lopez, they wanted a first rounder for. So the Bucks get their first rounder in this, but also get Wendell Carter Jr. in exchange for both Brook Lopez and Marjon Beauchamp. See here, I just think you're getting a cheaper option with Wendell Carter. You're getting the first round pick that you were asking for, and you're dumping off the two guys that you really, weren't that ecstatic for in the first place. Brook Lopez, as good as he is defensively protecting the perimeter and offensively shooting the three ball, he's just too slow to play the type of defense that I think the Bucks are going to want to play this year. I think they're going to have to dish him out because he's just not going to fit in the system in that they're wanting to play. And again, Beauchamp, exactly what we see. But this is a little bit odd because of the way that the second apron works. You can't just bring him in. You can't bring in just Wendell Carter on this trade while dishing out two guys. You'd have to add a second guy. So that's what kind of inspired me for this third one, which is a bit of a stretch, but I think there's a possibility of it taking place. And that's actually going for both Carter and Suggs. You see the Magic are very guard heavy. They have Anthony Black. They've got a lot of other guys at that guard position. Paulo Banchero, not a guard, but you see him anchoring that team. They're going to kind of build around that. Suggs is a guy who's been there for a couple years now, is on that $9 million deal, and even if push comes to shove and the Bucks do move on from Pat Connaughton, while there is also rumors around that, Suggs can be a nice replacement for him, being that younger type guy that could still be a stationary shooter for you. The Nets actually get Brook Lopez and Marjon Beauchamp in this trade because Cameron Johnson is going to Orlando. Cameron Johnson has been a guy that has been talked about on the trade block. I think getting him to Orlando and then getting the two guys in return on Milwaukee and then the Nets getting the two that you're dishing out, it's a good fit for all three teams. Cameron Johnson gets paired with a team where he can be a shooter. He can kind of work around Paulo and a lot of those other guards that are down there. You get Wendell Carter on the Bucks, another stretch big, a cheaper option. Again, I just talked about that. And then Brook Lopez and Marjon Beauchamp going to a Nets team that's still trying to work it out. Beauchamp maybe could find a home there and find a real, solid place and build his skills up in a Nets team that I think is kind of all about, what pieces can we get? What pieces can we develop? What pieces are we going to find? Now, there's a lot to unpack with that because, again, there's no confirmation that Marjon Beauchamp is going anywhere. But I think it's better to get him out of the building in any way that you can and get something in return rather than him sitting on that last spot on the bench, just not really doing much. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of development out of him. I don't know how much more and how more patient you could be with him. I'm hopeful, but we shall see. Let me know what you think the Bucks should do with Marjon Beauchamp. And if you have any trades that you think are a possibility for the Milwaukee Bucks upcoming. And as always, make sure you subscribe to Bucks Digest.